Zinc activates MMP9, an enzyme that helps break down bacterial biofilm.
In this video, I'm going to be talking about artichokes' effects on biofilms, as well as the effects on nutrients and vitamins. Also, maybe even touching on dental biofilms in the mouth. So basically, biofilms are structured microbial communities embedded in a protective extracellular polymeric matrix, and they basically protect cancer cells and pathogens from immune attack. For example, if macrophages and neutrophils, they attempt to engulf, or in other words, phagocytose the biofilm, that could make the biofilm even thicker because, let's say, nets from neutrophils, that's what they use to engulf the biofilm, or attempting to engulf a cancer cell or pathogen with a biofilm already on it or protecting it could actually serve the biofilm, because the nets ends up releasing like polymers and DNAs and all other sorts of substances and substrates that builds the biofilm and makes it thicker. So the neutrophil ends up creating the very thing that it's fighting against. Now, it's very critical to get rid of and dissolve biofilms, because by not doing so, it can lead to a lot of serious issues, especially over time. And those issues must be avoided. But it seems like artichoke extracts and its polyphenols can disrupt biofilm formation and destabilize even mature biofilms that have already been there for quite some time. Okay, so artichokes, like many other foods, can inhibit quorum sensing. So that's basically like a communication that bacteria uses to form biofilm growth and virulence. So there are active compounds in artichokes, such as apigenin, chlorogenic acid, and those are flavonoids. They can even target candida specific biofilms, as well as other gram-negative bacteria, and as well as Staphylococcus aureus. Reduction in biofilm thickness. So artichoke, compared to other foods, is probably at the top of the list, or the strongest, when it comes to reducing biofilms, e- even if the biofilm is aged and mature, because some studies report that artichoke extracts combined with antibiotics can actually penetrate into biofilms, so making bacteria susceptible to conventional therapy. And it's especially useful against antibiotic resistant strains protected by biofilms, because if they are resistant to antibiotics, how can the biofilms be uh, dissolved or penetrated? And that they'll be ongoing. But according to the research, artichokes combined with antibiotics is very effective at dissolving biofilms. This is super important because biofilms, especially if they are dense or aged and mature, they can coat mucosal surfaces in the gut. And what that ends up doing is that it reduces the contact between nutrients and epithelial transporters, because there are transporters in the gut for each individual nutrient or vitamin. And these dense biofilms can end up limiting the absorption of minerals. And there's many kinds like iron, calcium, zinc, the fat soluble vitamins, and even amino acids have their own transporters. Also, the biofilms in the mouth, oral biofilms, also gut biofilms, they can actually produce lactic acid that changes the acidity, the local pH, to a lower pH. And that's not good, because An acidic stomach in the gut improves nutrient availability and absorption. So the gut has to be acidic in order to absorb nutrients, even for protein. The gut has to be acidic even for protein absorption as well. But the biofilms reduces the acidity, therefore reducing nutrient absorption in the gut. Okay, there are even microbes living inside the biofilms that these microbes, they can actually metabolize nutrients before host absorption. Or in other words, the microbe in the biofilm will not allow the human to even absorb the nutrient, because the microbe in the biofilm absorbs the nutrient first before the human host had a chance to even take up the nutrient. So the microbes in the biofilm are actually robbing the body of nutrients, leading to nutrient deficiencies, and then a whole host of other problems and cascades of problems because of those deficiencies. Okay, also there's a diffusion rate of nutrients which happens at the mucus or the mucosal layer in the gut. But this diffusion rate is either disabled, impaired, or is slowed down or prevented by biofilms, especially if the biofilms are thick, because those thick biofilms will degrade the mucus, therefore preventing diffusion of nutrients to the intestinal epithelium. So here's another major issue with the biofilms, especially oral or dental biofilms, and how this impacts iron, either heme and non-heme iron, is that the biofilms can trap and sequester the minerals, even polyphenols, in the extracellular matrix. So it also seems that nutrients are even metabolized at the enamel of the teeth and the mouth, but this can be actually be reduced because of reduced pH caused by oral bacteria such as Streptococcus mutans. And these bacteria, they ferment sugars into acids that reduce the acidic pH, therefore affecting enamel and mineral solubility. And as I said earlier, mostly impacts iron. That's not good, because iron deficiency can lead to reduced oxygen in the body, or hypoxia, and cancer grows from hypoxia. Also, hypoxia is the one of the strongest drivers of M2 phenotype macrophages. So what that means is that the macrophages, they end up supporting and protecting the tumors of cancer instead of attacking or uh, or engulfing or phagocytosing the tumors or cancer cells. And another issue with iron deficiency, because of thick biofilms, is that a vitamin B12 absorption will also be impaired, leading to advanced glycation end products that makes the ECM way too stiff and rigid and way too cross-linked, that the immune cells, they can't infiltrate or can't make their way through the ECM. Therefore, cancer cells are not attacked by immune cells. That's because iron um, is responsible for enabling vitamin A, so that vitamin A can feed the parietal cells to make intrinsic factor for vitamin B12, because B12 cannot work without intrinsic factor, therefore leading to B12 deficiency. So that's it for the video. If you want more future videos, then like, comment, share, and subscribe. Keep it locked in here on my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.